Hi friends, welcome to Shankar English Guru. Today I would like to talk the name of lesson is Toasted English by R.K. Narayan. So as we know that R.K. Narayan is one of the famous person. He has written the name of lesson is called Toasted English. Toasted English is a well-known essay by R.K. Narayan. He is one of the best Indian novelists in English. He has published more than 10 novels and short stories. His works have been translated into many Indian and European languages. So he has written many short stories and novels. So they have been translated into Indian languages, not only in Indian languages but also European languages. He is a famous works because his famous works include The Guide, The English Teacher and Malgudi Days. Narayana is known for his simple language and realistic characters. So whenever he write in his writing, he would keep the simple language as well as realistic characters. It means that as a common person also they may understand the way he writes. Toasted English is a half humor and a half serious essay about how the same language English differs from one country to another country. The main aim of this lesson is that how language has been spoken one country to another country. In this essay, the difference between American and British English has been shown in an amusing way, because he would like to point that how the between American and British, how they have been spoken the language. So that is the beauty he would like to explain here. The author tells that like Indians, Americans also drove the British out of the country but adopted English language. So R.K. Narayan explains us here. So as like India ruled by British, right? So likewise American ruled by British, but American people they thrown out of their country to the Britishers. But language always there on the soil of America. That's what he want to say. The Americans used English language in an easy way and left the use of passive voice. They also gave off formalized and used certain keywords for their convenience. This process of modifying English is called toasting. For example, instead of trespassing prohibited, they say the newly planted don't walk on the notice board. The new words became very hardy because they could be used for multiple meanings. So that is what there are some sort of passive formation, and Britishers follows a kind of rules to use the language. But whereas Americans, they kept the language like universal. For example, we have the word like okay, yeah and yes are more commonly used expressions in day-to-day communication approach. Narayana mentions the examples of the word check, which may safely labeled the American national expressions, because when you see the word like check, we should use commonly not only in America, the global wise. It is American national express. So here, while the British uses the word according to the definition, the American uses it anywhere. But whereas Britishers, they have a kinds of rules and regulation to use a kind of word. But whereas Americans, they would use anywhere their expressions. So that's what R.K. Narayan explains us. For example, the word like I will check means I will find out, examine, verify. Your check means your ticket, token. But whereas here the word like check girl is one who takes care of your coat, umbrella or anything of you. So here he would like to explain that check means is a universal meaning which we have in global level. So check means like investigate something, scrutinize something, examine something. Again you have to recheck something. So that is the meaning we are supposed to get. But whereas check girls means here it give the meanings who takes the belongings. That's what he gave few examples here. Further R.K. Narayan discuss the bazaar status of English. It is used in a polite way in London, because even the bazaar way of language it will be used as in polite way. For example, the conductor will never say ticket on London bus, but simply go near the passengers and say thank you and receiving the fare and issuing the tickets also. But as like in India and other countries, we supposed to say that in bus ticket. But whereas here they do not use any kinds of word like ticket. Simply they go to the passenger and they will use the word like thank. How many thanks he will receive, so then he will give the ticket. So likewise it may happens. So that will differs the country to another country or any countries, my dear. So have no need to use yes sir, yes darling with the words yes. The words yes, okay are self-sufficient word that needs no suffix to show any special respect. But when we use in common languages, for example, we use the suffix like yes sir, yes ma'am, etc. or so on. But whereas use like yeah, okay, these are the universally we are using in day-to-day communication. But there is no need of any kinds of suffixes or prefixes should be needed in the sentence without any pause to continue the dialogue and our conversation. Ya is spoken in a short base of tongue grunt. So that's what R.K. Narayan gives here many examples. R.K. Narayan feels that the time has come when English should come out in the open in dusty streets and become the language of a common man. As we know that English become as a global language and we are using in day-to-day communication approach not only in urban areas, in rural areas also. Not only that, in marketplaces also we are using English language like anything. So for that reason, R.K. Narayan's focus here, English will become a very common language for each and every persons in day-to-day communication approach. Like Americans, it should also adapt according to the Indian needs and atmosphere. So not only in globalization of other countries like American and Australia and other countries like British and all, Britain and all, but even India also must make according to their needs and atmosphere. He does not want the the English language in grammatically rules should have been remained the same. Like toasted English, India should develop a Bharat brand of English, because the opinion of R.K. Narayan says that we also built our own kinds of language, like the phrases, words, idioms which we use ourselves. So one should not have to think before speaking. The author wants that India English should have its own identity, its Swadeshi stamp. So that's what the expectation of R.K. Narayan. He would like to suggest us we supposed to build our own Swadeshi stamp of English language. Own examples like we have Madras handlooms, Chakshed, Tirupati dolls. So these are our own unique way of expressions which we have in Indian English. So it should be unique and distinct from the present English, because we have to make lots of changes in our Indian languages. So for that reason, he expect that we also built our Swadeshi stamp, Swadeshi English language, Bharat brand, and we can keep our language, Indian English language in further. So that's what in this toasted English explained by R.K. Narayan, as we know that he is one of the famous personality who got Sahitya Award in the name of book, that is The Guide. Thank you everyone.